You ever get that feeling that something big is brewing even when things seem a little too quiet? That's exactly the vibe around the Dallas Cowboys right now. We're deep in the off-season, and sure, there's not much noise, no games, no drama-filled pressers, but trust me, this calm is just the calm before the storm. Training camp is just around the corner, and that means one thing. Roster battles are about to get real. But right now, there's a name buzzing quietly but steadily, Perion Winfrey. And if you're not paying attention yet, you might want to start. Let me put it to you this way. The Cowboys have a track record when it comes to turning USFL standouts into contributors. You remember Cavante Turpin, right? Dude lit it up on special teams and forced his way onto the roster. That kind of spark came straight out of the USFL, and it feels like the Cowboys might be hoping lightning strikes twice. This time, the gamble is on defensive tackle Perion Winfrey, and let me tell you, he's already making waves the moment he stepped through the door at the Star. Here's what you need to know. Winfrey was once a promising prospect with the Cleveland Browns. Things didn't work out there, partly because of some off-the-field issues. He's been out of the NFL spotlight since 2023, grinding it out in the USFL with the Birmingham Stallions. What makes this story worth watching? He didn't even start the season with them, but still ended up making the All-USFL team. That's no small feat. 25 tackles, 1 sack, and a forced fumble in just half a season. That's called maximizing your shot. Now he's in Dallas and he's not wasting a second. According to a quote that's been flying around online, the moment he got the code to enter the facility, he was all in. That says hunger. That says focus. And if you're a Cowboys fan, that should have your attention. We're talking about a guy who's not just trying to make the team. He's trying to prove that he belongs, that he can make an impact on a defensive line that's got a lot of question marks heading into training camp. Yeah, he's only 290 pounds, maybe a bit light for an NFL tackle, but that could actually work in his favor. He moves well, and in today's league, where defensive linemen have to be quick and disruptive, that kind of agility could set him apart. With the right coaching and conditioning, Perion Winfrey might just become one of those "where'd he come from?" stories that we talk about all season. Now let me ask you this. Do you think Perion Winfrey can be the next USFL success story for the Cowboys? Drop your take in the comments. I really want to know where you stand on this one. And while you're down there, hit that like button if you're hyped to see what happens in camp, and subscribe to the channel. We're pushing for 14,000 subscribers, and your support is what keeps this community strong. Turn on notifications too, because things are about to heat up, and you won't want to miss a second of it. Let's rewind a bit and really dive into Perion Winfrey's story, because understanding where he's been gives you a clearer picture of why his shot with the Cowboys is so compelling right now. Back in 2022, Winfrey came into the league with some buzz. The Browns drafted him in the 4th round, and there were high hopes. He had that combination of size, strength, and raw energy that scouts love in defensive tackles. But it didn't take long for things to unravel. He played just 13 games in his rookie season, with limited production, only 22 tackles and a half sack. More concerning, though, were the off-the-field issues. Multiple reports surfaced about maturity concerns, missed team meetings, and eventually a misdemeanor assault charge in 2023. That was the final straw for Cleveland. They cut ties. At that point, it could have been over for him. A lot of guys disappear after something like that. But instead of giving up, Winfrey took a different path. He went to the USFL and joined the Birmingham Stallions. And even that wasn't smooth. He wasn't on the team at the start of the season. He joined midway through. But once he hit the field, he made it count. In just 6 games, he racked up 25 tackles, a sack, and a forced fumble. More importantly, he showed something different: consistency, focus, effort on every down. That USFL stint wasn't just about numbers, it was a wake-up call. You could see a guy who realized this was maybe his last real chance to get back to the NFL. And the Cowboys? They were watching. They've shown a willingness to give second chances when they see the right attitude and potential. Bringing in Winfrey wasn't just a camp body move, it was a calculated decision based on what he showed in that second league. So let me throw this question to you. Do you think the Cowboys were smart to give Winfrey a shot after what he did in the USFL? Or do you still have doubts about whether he's turned the corner? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading through them all. Now that we've covered Winfrey's redemption arc, let's get into what really matters going forward, how he fits into the Cowboys' current defensive line picture. Because here's the deal, this isn't going to be a walk in the park for him. He's stepping into a very crowded and competitive room. Let's start with the core guys. Osa Odigizua is the clear leader at defensive tackle. He's proven, consistent, and he's not going anywhere. Then you've got guys like Mazi Smith, the former first-round pick who's still developing, and veteran Jonathan Hankins, who brings size and experience when healthy. That's already 3 players with a strong hold on spots. And don't forget about Chauncey Golston, who can slide inside when needed. Plus, there's young talent like Viliami Fehoko Jr. and Neville Gallimore trying to carve out bigger roles. So where does that leave Winfrey? Honestly, on the bubble. But, and this is key, the Cowboys want competition. Dan Quinn may be gone, but Mike, Zimmer is known for being just as demanding, maybe even more so when it comes to toughness and accountability. If Winfrey wants to stick, he'll need to prove in camp and preseason that he can consistently disrupt plays, stay disciplined in his assignments, and bring that motor on every snap. No taking plays off, no distractions off the field. And here's a wrinkle. Winfrey isn't practice squad eligible under standard rules due to his accrued seasons, so this is truly a make-or-break camp for him. If he doesn't crack the 53-man roster, it's likely back to free agency or back to the USFL. That's why every rep in Oxnard is going to matter. Let me ask you this. Given the current depth on the defensive line, who do you think Winfrey would have to beat out to make the team? Gallimore? Fehoko? Someone else? I want to know who you think is most vulnerable, and if there's even a real shot Winfrey steals a spot. All right. Now this is where things get really interesting. Because if there's one thing that could tip the scales in Perion Winfrey's favor, it's the arrival of new defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer. And let me tell you, Zimmer isn't just bringing a different scheme, he's bringing a whole new standard. Zimmer's defenses have always been built around discipline, toughness, and execution. He demands gap integrity, control at the line of scrimmage, and zero tolerance for freelancing. That's both a challenge and an opportunity for Winfrey. Let's break it down. Winfrey's game is all about quickness off the snap and causing chaos in the backfield. That fits in some ways. Zimmer loves interior linemen who can penetrate and collapse the pocket. But he also expects those guys to play smart football. That means no jumping gaps unless it's designed, no freelancing on stunts, and definitely no over-pursuing and leaving running lanes wide open. That's where the mental side comes in. If Winfrey can show he's coachable and can execute within a structured system, he might actually thrive under Zimmer. Remember, Zimmer has a long history of developing defensive linemen, especially guys with high upside who needed refinement. Think back to players like Linval Joseph or Sheriff Floyd. Zimmer molded them into complete players. Could Winfrey be next? But here's the catch. Zimmer has no time for nonsense. If Winfrey reverts to old habits, on or off the field, he won't last long. Zimmer's defense isn't about flash. It's about doing your job and doing it well, every single snap. And that's the fascinating part. In a way, Zimmer might be the perfect test for Winfrey. If he's really changed, if he's serious about making the most of this opportunity, Zimmer's system could bring out the best in him. But if not, this could be his last real shot in the NFL. What do you think? Can Winfrey adapt to Zimmer's old-school, no-nonsense system? Or is his style just too risky for what the Cowboys are trying to build on defense? So now that we've gone through Winfrey's baggage, his upside, and how he might fit into Zimmer's demanding scheme, let's bring it all together. What does a realistic 2025 season look like for Perion Winfrey? We're not talking about Pro Bowl expectations here. This isn't about sacks and highlights. It's about carving out a meaningful role on one of the most watched teams in the league. If Winfrey wants to stick, he doesn't need to be a star. He needs to be reliable. At his best, Winfrey could become a rotational piece on the defensive interior, especially on passing downs. Think 20-25 snaps per game, with an emphasis on collapsing the pocket and keeping the quarterback uncomfortable. If he racks up 3 to 4 sacks over the course of the season, that's a win. Add in a handful of tackles for loss and pressures, and now you're talking about value. But more important than stats is trust. Can the coaching staff trust him to execute the game plan? Can his teammates trust him to hold his gap and be where he's supposed to be? If the answer is yes, then Winfrey's already succeeded. Because right now, the Cowboys are looking for role players to step up, not just superstars. And here's something else. If Winfrey can stay clean off the field and focused on football for a full season, that alone could extend his career. The NFL loves talent, but it values consistency and professionalism even more. 1 year of staying on the right path could earn him a future, even if it's just as a backup or depth guy on a veteran minimum deal. So here's my question. To you, what would you consider a successful season for Perion Winfrey? Is it stats? Is it just making the final 53? Or is it showing he can stay out of trouble and finally become the player we hoped he'd be when he came out of Oklahoma? Drop your answer in the comments, and if you think Winfrey deserves this second chance, let me know why. Thanks for riding through this one with me, and hey, don't forget to subscribe if you want more real talk on the Cowboys. See you in the next video.